Well, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally the things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a Sunday Stuff and Things. And on the Sunday Stuff and Things, we have stuff and things to talk about. Where is it? Including upcoming videos, things you can look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. We're going to talk a little bit about the Aubrey Maturin series yet again. I am rereading the Patrick O'Brian Aubrey Maturin series, and it's so good. If you haven't read these books, you have to read these books. And the segment when we talk about these books in this Sunday Stuff and Things is going to be a heartfelt plea for you to please read these books. We're going to talk a little bit about how home blending is kind of hard. There's more to it than just throwing some components in a bowl and mixing it up. And then we will have your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag askstuffandthings, and we'll close the episode with our Patreon shoutouts and updates, things that you can look forward to exclusively on Patreon. Let's get into it. Need some coffee, man. Stumbling. Coffee does absolutely nothing anyway, though. Okay, gang, so what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon? Well, this coming week, we have a very cool video on 1 month later with my beautiful Leica M4. This beautiful camera. It's not the review of the camera yet. We will be doing that eventually, but I just want to look at the rolls of film that I have gotten with this camera since I've had it. I think when I recorded the video, I had taken about 8 or 9 rolls, or shot 8 or 9 rolls with this camera. So we're just going over some of the highlights from those rolls and talking about what it's been like using this camera for a month. That's YouTube and Patreon. The week after that, exclusive to Patreon, will be a video about this 11-year-old B. Victor Vapor. It was dated August 31st, 2014. So almost exactly 11 years ago, I blended my own vapor with some Red Virginia and some Louisiana Perique. And I decided it would be fun to try it out after 11 years of age. Let's just say it didn't go really, really well. Check that video out exclusively on Patreon. And then after that, on YouTube and Patreon, we're going to look at some cool footage and talk about an interesting debate. Garry Winogrand is was a very famous photographer, known for a lot of his street photography around in New York and Texas and LA. And there is a clip of him. There's a whole talk that he gave at Rice University in Houston, Texas in 1977, where he was just talking about photography, his photography, talks a lot about some famous photographers like Walker Evans and Robert Frank. But there is a portion of this footage where a student or faculty member, I'm not sure who, asks him if rangefinders are obsolete. And he goes on this really spirited rant about the merits of a rangefinder versus an SLR. And it's very interesting. It's fun because so many people debate these kinds of things now. And, you know, this was still going on in the 70s, or it was already going on in the 70s. So I thought it would be a fun video to watch that footage and kind of dissect what he was trying to say, give my own 2 cents about it. Interesting stuff, kind of the rangefinder versus SLR debate. We're talking about film cameras, not really talking about modern digital cameras, but interesting stuff. So stay tuned. I also have some really cool notebooks coming that should be here within a couple weeks, I think. They're coming from Hong Kong, I believe, or Taiwan. I can't remember, one of the two. And I'm really excited to show those to you as well. So we'll be having a box opening of those soon. Lots of good stuff coming up. Stay tuned. I was about to drink this. There we go. All right, so if you have watched my videos in the past, I will have mentioned the Aubrey Maturin series of novels. These were written, I think, starting in the 60s by the author Patrick O'Brian. He was a British author, and he wrote a series of 20 finished novels, and there was one that was unfinished when he died, about these two characters, Jack Aubrey, who is a British naval officer, and Stephen Maturin, who is a Irish Catalan doctor, spy, he's a naturalist, he's many things, a scientist, a philosopher. They become very good friends in the very first novel in the series, and then it's basically their adventures throughout the Napoleonic era, Napoleonic Wars. They are fantastic. They're amazingly written. They are impeccably researched. The dialogue is very, I mean, it's not perfectly period correct, I'm sure. I think he used a lot of resources like Jane Austen and things like that, other literature from the actual time to kind of gauge what the dialogue would be like. But the actual, the info about the Royal Navy, the science of the time, the age of sail, just all these technical aspects are so impeccably researched. He evokes a period, a time period just so perfectly. You feel like you're there. You feel like these characters are perfectly grounded in the era in which they are supposed to have lived. It's just amazing. It's exciting, heart-pounding action and adventure, but it's also just very deep and literate and takes an amazing look at these characters. The characterization in these novels are fantastic as well, but they're also hilarious sometimes. And there's a passage in here, and I didn't even remember it from the first time I read the book. Let me put my glasses on here. It is so freaking funny. You would have to kind of have a lot of background information about the characters, maybe, to understand why this is so funny. But basically, at the end, this is Post Captain, the second novel in the series, and a lot of bad stuff happens to the characters in this novel. Their friendship is tested. They're kind of at each other's throats throughout much of the book. But finally, I won't reveal anything that's, I'll try not to give anything major away in the plot, but by the end of the book, they have reconciled. I guess that's kind of giving something away. But they're about to, Captain Aubrey is about to take command, a temporary command of a ship, and he had told Stephen Maturin, his best friend, doctor, ship surgeon, to meet him at this ship as they're about to take it over, or he's about to take over command. So let me read you this little passage here. So this is from Post Captain. This is starting on page 428 in my copy. And Jack is about to board the frigate that he has been given command of. So let's see. Jack was obliged to go board her in the glare of the risen sun, passing through the crowded streets of Chatham. Is that how you pronounce that? A considerable trial to him after an already trying night. But this was nothing to the trial of meeting Dr. Maturin on the water, for Stephen had been inspired to put off from the shore at about the same time, though from a different place, and their courses converged some 3 furlongs from the frigate's side. Stephen's conveyance was one of the Lively's cutters, which saluted Jack by tossing oars, and which fell under his wherry's lee, so that they pulled in close company, Stephen calling out pleasantly all the way. Jack caught a frightened glance from Killick, noticed the wooden composure of the midshipman of the cutter's crew, saw the grinning face of Matthew Paris and old Polycrest, Stephen's servant, once a framework knitter and still no kind of seaman, no notion of common propriety in his myopic friendly gaze. And as Stephen rose to wave and hoot, Jack saw that he was dressed from head to foot in a single, tight, dull brown garment. It clung to him, and his pale, delighted face emerged from a woolen roll at the top, looking unnaturally large. His general appearance was something between that of an attenuated ape and a meager hart, and he was carrying his narwhal horn. Captain Aubrey's back and shoulders went perfectly rigid. He adopted the features of one who was smiling. He even called out, "Good morning to you! Yes! No! Ha ha!" And as he recomposed them to a look of immovable gravity and unconcern, the thought darted through his mind, "I believe the wicked old creature is drunk." So Jack boards the frigate. Stephen still hasn't come on board. And remember, this is, the early 1800s. Leaning over the side, Jack calls, "Dr. Maturin, will you not come aboard?" Stephen was no more of a mariner now than he had been at the outset of his naval career, and it took him a long moment to clamber snorting up the frigate's side, propped by the agonized Killick. A moment that increased the attentive quarterdeck's sense of expectation. "Mr. Simmons," said Jack, fixing him with a hard, savage eye, "this is my friend Dr. Maturin, who will be accompanying me." Dr. Maturin, Mr. Simmons, the first lieutenant of the Lively. "Your servant, sir," said Stephen, making a leg. And this, thought Jack, was perhaps the most hideous action that a person in so subhuman a garment could perform. Hitherto, the Lively's quarterdeck had taken the apparition nobly, with a vexing remote perfection, but now as Mr. Simmons bowed stiffly, saying, "Servant, sir," and as Stephen, by way of being amiable, said, "What a splendid vessel, to be sure. Vast, spacious decks. One might almost imagine oneself aboard an Indiaman." There was a wild shriek of childish laughter, a quickly smothered shriek, followed by a howl that vanished sobbing down the companion ladder. And then a little later, Stephen is bringing a parcel onto the ship. Let's see. It was Paris with a rectangular sailcloth parcel. Stephen ran to him, took it from his arms with infinite precaution, and set it on the table, pressing his ear to its side. "Listen, Jack," he said, smiling. "Put your ear firmly to the top and listen while I tap." The parcel gave a sudden momentary hum. "Do you hear? That shows they are queen, right? That no harm has come to their queen. But we must open it at once. They must have air. There, a glass hive. Is it not ingenious, charming? I have always wanted to keep bees." "But how in God's name do you expect to keep bees in a man of war?" cried Jack. "Where in God's name do you expect them to find flowers at sea? How will they eat?" "You can see their every motion," said Stephen, close against the glass, entranced. "Oh, as for their feeding, never fret your anxious mind. They will feed with us upon a saucer of sugar at stated intervals. If the ingenious Monsieur Hubert can keep bees and he blind, the poor man, surely we can manage in a great spacious xebec. This is a frigate. Let us never split hairs for all love. This is the Queen. Come, look at the Queen." "How many of those reptiles might there be?" asked Jack, holding pretty much aloof. "Oh, 60,000 or so, I dare say," said Stephen carelessly. "And when it comes on to blow, we will ship gimbals for the hive. This will preserve them from undue lateral motion." "You think of almost everything," said Jack. "Well, I will wear the bees like Damon and Pythagoras. Oh, a mere 60,000 bees in the cabin don't signify much. But I tell you what it is, Stephen, you don't always think of quite everything." And then, let's see. "You refer to the Queen's being a virgin," said Stephen. "Not really, no. What I really meant was that this is a crack frigate." "I'm delighted to hear it." "Oh, there she goes. She lays an egg. You need not fear for her virginity, Jack. And in this frigate, they are very particular. Did you not remark the show of uniforms as you came aboard, an admiral's inspection, a royal review?" "No, I cannot truthfully say that I did. Tell me, brother, is there some uneasiness on your mind?" "Stephen, will you for the love of God take off that thing?" "My wool garment. You have noticed it, have you? I had forgot, or I should have pointed it out. Have you ever seen anything so deeply rational? See, I can withdraw my head entirely. The same applies to the feet and the hands. Warm yet uncumbering, light, and above all healthy. No constriction anywhere. Paris, who was once a framework knitter, made it to my design. He's working on one for you at present." I just find that so hilarious. After reading that passage, I was chuckling to myself pretty much all day. So basically, Stephen, a doctor, a naturalist, a spy, a polyglot, a very learned man, has crafted a brown woolen onesie, basically. And that is what he is wearing on the deck of an early 19th century British man of war. A onesie that has like a weird tube-like hood from which only his face is appearing. Hilarious. Many of you recommend that I blend my own blends. Some of you give me examples of blends that you have blended yourself, not necessarily physically giving me, but you tell me of things like, oh, somebody recently was telling me about a blend that they added dark-fired Kentucky to and made their own Vaporky. And they said, oh, it was great, it was fantastic. And I think maybe in situations like that where you get a store-bought, professionally blended blend, and maybe you just add a little bit of a component to it, like a little bit of Perique or something, maybe that can work. But I'm curious if any of you out there have had good experiences trying to blend your own mixture just completely from scratch. Well, obviously you're not growing it and curing it and doing all that yourself, but this was my attempt from 2014. It is the B Victor Vapor. I bought Red Virginia and Perique, and I mixed it up, and I tried it, and it sucked. It was really bad. Now, some of that might just have to do with the components themselves. I have no idea where the Red Virginia was sourced from. At the time, it was at a brick and mortar that no longer exists, but they just had a big jar that said Red Virginia on it. And I had no idea where the Red Virginia came from. The Perique did say St. James Perique, but I just mixed probably way too much Perique in here, mixed it up with the Red Virginia, crammed it into a jar. I think I let it set for a little while, but then I tried it and it was gross. It managed to be kind of bitter, but also sour at the same time. It didn't really have any of the flavors that I wanted it to have. When I was making it, I was thinking of Elizabethan mixture, because that's a mature Red Virginia and a Perique blend, and it just didn't work. And my assumption at the time was that, okay, there's a reason why there are professionals who do this. They know a lot more than we do about this kind of thing, and I'll leave it to them. But then I have so many people telling me all the time, like, oh, I mixed this, I mixed that, it's really delicious, you should try this. And so I'm just curious if any of you have had any success doing home blending. And I don't mean modifying a blend that already exists. I mean just getting bulk component pieces like a Red Virginia, a Bright Virginia, maybe some Darkfire Kentucky, some Latakia, some Louisiana Perique, and mixing it together to your own plan and then having a blend that is really, really good. I'm curious. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm sure there probably are people out there who have done it, but I'd just be curious to know. Let me know in the comments below. All right, gang, but now it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at SATBradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings, but you probably shouldn't because nobody does. Otherwise, if you are a Patreon supporter, you can write to me via Patreon, go right to the front of the line. You can hit that super thanks button right under this video, go right to the front of the line, or you can leave questions, comments, and feedback in the comment section of my YouTube video. Last week, we have some feedback from the Sunday Stuff and Things. This is from Vivian Chauillard. Hey Bradley, such a shame you do not post pipe essing videos here anymore. I was searching for the old Orlik Golden Slice revisited, but couldn't find it. Yeah, I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to say this, but obviously not everyone watches every video, but yeah. Anything that shows essing, like actual lighters going to pipe bowls, that cannot be on YouTube because I got kicked out of the partner program because of that. All that stuff has to be on Patreon now. Anything new that shows essing goes on Patreon, and I'm slowly getting an archive of all the old stuff on Patreon as well, starting with all the pipe blend reviews. So check out Patreon if you want to see that stuff. $5 a month gets you in. Next, we have at Bishop's Pipes, who said, it was probably AI asking you the question about AI. Yeah, that is an interesting point. I don't think it actually was, but in fact, I think I recognize the name of the person who was writing that question about AI in last week's Sunday Stuff and Things. But I know that, I never use Facebook at all, but I know that Facebook has fake profiles of people. It'll be like an old black grandma, and she will say folksy things and try to interact with old people, like real old people. And this, I hate this whole discussion because she's not doing anything. There is no she, there is no AI. It's just an algorithm that is spitting out things to talk to people about a language model. But basically trying to goose engagement on these social media platforms. So there are AI fake people on these social media platforms trying to get people to engage with them. It's creepy. Brave new world. At New Media of the Dawn says, yeah, I don't use AI for anything either, and yes, it's just computer code, not intelligence. Yes. I only use it when I search Google and it comes up with the top results, mainly typing to no voice search. I found it pretty accurate though, so I guess it depends on the subject. Cheers. Yeah, I mean, with Google, you can't get away from it. When you search anything, the top result is going to be their AI result. And sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not. Just depends. At Michael Case 8574 says, if you do have a Rolleiflex, you can use flash at any shutter speed as you can on any camera with the leaf shutter. Yeah, that's true. We were talking about the vintage flash I got from my Leica the other day. On my little Fujifilm X106, this has a leaf shutter as well. So yeah, I could use this all the way up to the very top shutter speed here is 1/4000. So that is quite useful. So it's really useful if you want to do like daytime fill flash when you're still out on a bright day. You could still use flash to fill in shadows and stuff. Quite nice. Next, we have at Quantum Tarsus, who says, just don't be tempted to use that old flash on a modern camera. My understanding is that these older flashes can allow some pretty high voltages to pass through the hot shoe sync port. While this isn't an issue for film cameras, since everything related to triggering the flash is usually mechanical, that high voltage can fry electronics on modern cameras. So yeah, I was showing everyone my Sunpack Auto 101 flash. I don't even know when it's from. It looks quite old, probably the 70s. And it's this cool, beautiful, it's this cool compact little flash that I got for my Leica M4. And yeah, I mean, I'm only planning on using it on my Leica. I might use it on my FE2 occasionally, my Nikon, but yeah, mostly just for my Leica, so I don't have to worry about that. And then I forgot to get any feedback from GLP's Bankside. There probably wasn't much because it was just on Patreon, exclusive to Patreon. Les Brady had said at one point, I'm glad you liked it, and I just wanted to thank Les Brady again for sending that Bankside along. That was a good blend, gang. Check out that review on Patreon if you haven't yet. That posted last week. That's a good one. That was a good one. A Vapor Kia, Virginia, Perique, Darkfire, Kentucky, Latte Kia blend. Very, very good. Thank you for all that feedback. Please keep it coming in. It really helps make the show go. But now it's time for the very best part of the show, and that is when we thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support Stuff and Things on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. It's basically the best way to show your support and to keep this kind of content coming. We have exclusive pipe-related videos on Patreon every single week, but we also offer early and ad-free access to our YouTube videos on Patreon every single week. And it's basically what lets me keep making these videos for you every single week. So there's a link in the description box below. $5 a month gets you in access to all that cool content. And every week we shout out those who support Stuff and Things at $25 or more a month. People like Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, The Friendly Piper, GreatGrol, Glenn, Just Glenn, David Severin, Nicholas James, Kyle Whitmore, Mr. Gibson, and Chris Caughey. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support Stuff and Things at $100 a month. People like the stolid and dependable Bob Magee. And we'll never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. What can you look forward to exclusively on Patreon this week? Well, we will have the early ad-free access of 1 month with the Leica M4. That premieres on Monday on Patreon, Wednesday on YouTube. But on Thursday, we will have the From the Archives review of My Mixture Baby's Bottom. Remember that blend? Probably not. It didn't last very long. They changed it from My Mixture's Baby Bottom to just My Mixture. I can't remember what the actual number was after Baby's Bottom. But if you go look up, well, maybe you shouldn't do this, but look up the original tin art of Dunhill My Mixture Baby's Bottom. They did not have the tin art in this version of the blend that I reviewed way back in 2015, but it's pretty funny. And it's pretty, I was gonna say, oh, it makes sense that they wouldn't have it anymore. I think we're just all way too sensitive about these stupid things. Baby's Bottom, it's fine. There used to be those old, what was that, sunscreen or sun lotion or whatever, where it had the dog pulling a baby's underwear down, or the diaper or whatever. Was that Copper Toad or something? It was like soft as a baby's butt. It's fine. Nobody's thinking about that in a gross way. At least I hope so. Anyway, check out that video. It is posting on Thursday this week, my original review of Dunhill My Mixture Baby's Bottom. Lots of good stuff coming up on Patreon, lots of good stuff coming up on YouTube, but until next time, until we meet again, I'm your good friend Bradley. You in the audience has been Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.